it's Stephanie Everett for the Suburban Chateau, and tonight we took a really exciting trip to the old Bedford Village here at Bedford, Pennsylvania. We got to see a lot of beautiful historic homes, all decorated for the holidays. We got to see different craftspeople, see the wonderful fires, and really sort of get into that Christmassy spirit and think about Christmases of the past. To get our evening started off, Steve and I stopped in Osterburg, Pennsylvania on the way to Bedford at the Slick's Ivy Stone, which is a traditional home-style restaurant in our neck of the woods on the way to Bedford. And the one thing I always have loved about Slick's is they have decorated the place with all sorts of antiques, antique typewriters, hats, all kinds of collections. I love the Afghans when I'm looking around at antique stores, and I always love the atmosphere that is created by Slick. So right when you walk in and you're in the waiting area, it's just all antiques. It's like traveling to the past. So that's always a fun part of Slick's. And we were in the Red Room to eat, and I especially loved all of the teapots. I also love to see old photographs of family. And Steve and I had a wonderful meal. And again, more teapots and china and all the things that I love to collect. Next, we traveled to Old Bedford Village for their luminary tour, and we had the wonderful opportunity to tour many of the structures in Old Bedford Village. Old Bedford Village dates back to 1976, but it houses nearly 40 pre-20th century structures, all from central Pennsylvania.
We've got some games here that they would have played in the 1800s. So we've got Shut the Box, which is also very common. Some people also call it buckshot. So it's a dice rolling game where you would want to flip up the tiles. So if you roll the dice, so I got an 8 here, you could either put up the 8 or you could put up the numbers that add up to it, and your goal is to flip all of the tiles up. If you run into a number that you've already flipped all the tiles up for, then your turn would end, and it's addition and subtraction. You get a couple math things in there. So this is the Royal and Most Pleasant Game of Goose. It's a board game that they would play. So your goal is to roll the dice and get to the number 63, which is at the end, and you've got some obstacles that are in your way there that can either earn you some spaces or take away some turns. You've got pick up sticks, which is a lot harder than it looks. You're trying to pick up the sticks one at a time without moving the red, which are not played with cookies, as many people have thought. It's actually played with corn cob pieces. So in the daytime, it's a little easier to realize that it's red and yellow corn for the opposing sides. And then you've got your Jacob's Ladder and your dominoes, which are fairly common today as well.
We were able to enjoy all of the buildings by candlelight and by the warm fire's glow. And surprisingly, the buildings were very warm. Some of them were heated by stoves. We saw some different characters that were craftspeople. This was a knife maker explaining different techniques. We were able to see all kinds of tools, crockery, bakeware from the colonial times. We met a special little pony friend along the way. I enjoyed meeting all the costume characters along the way. And of course, the lanterns lit our path. One of the most interesting buildings I found was the octagonal schoolhouse built by Hiram Way in 1851 in Fishertown and was used until 1933. My favorite aspect of traveling to Old Bedford Village is just traveling back in time to a simpler time and a simpler way of living. We saw wonderful cooking and baking techniques. We saw how they started fires in a different way than we think of today. We got to see all of the historical costumes, which I'm very interested in. And we just got to travel back in time where there was no technology and no hectic pace of life, and just to see the way folks would have lived back then. We finished up the night with some beautiful Christmas carols at the church in the village. Thanks for joining us here at the Suburban Chateau. I hope you enjoyed seeing the old Bedford Village in Bedford, Pennsylvania, a wonderful historic town, very close to where we live. And maybe you'll get a chance to come and see this beautiful little town and the old Bedford Village here as well.